I know many of us, myself included, love a good low profile keyboard. And many of us also love adjustable switches with fast rapid triggers. Why can't we just have both? Now, luckily, Nuphy in their new Air 60HE is going to deliver. Now, as far as inside your box, your Air 60HE, you're going to get your USB A to C cable with its angled here. You'll see why in a second. You get this little tiny C to C, not too sure what this cable's for. You get your switch and keycap puller because this is hot swap. You get some replaceable caps so you can actually swap out the purple caps, which I'll show you. You get this quick start guide and this anime poster here, and then a dust cover. And then, of course, you are going to get your keyboard. And I don't mean to start this off as a negative Nelly or a Debbie Downer here, but my one complaint about this board is the layout being 60%. I don't like 60% keyboards. I'm a 75 or TKL type of guy. You know, I like my function roll, maybe some media controls. That's personal preference. But again, Nuphy, please, this keyboard's so good, make it in a bigger layout. 75 TKL would be much appreciated. Now, as far as these purple keycaps, super cool that you see in here. They're clear. You can see your switches, your stabilizers. Super awesome, but they will be coming off because you know purple's not staying on Techne's desk. But again, they are pretty darn cool. But diving further into the board, you can see you got that nice sleek aluminum edge going all the way around it, nice and smooth. Back here, you got Air 60HE branding. Over on the other side, you got M1, 2, and 3. So you got game mode, Windows, and Mac, which I'll show you in the software. Really cool, just flick of the button. And then over here, you got the USB-C port, hence the reason for that angled USB-C. Flipping the keyboard over, translucent bottom, couple of rubber feet here, and 2 layers of pop-out feet. And then you got this metal Air 60HE branding right in the middle. And let me tell you what, even though this keyboard is 60% low profile, small, compact, it still has some nice heft to it right along with that amazing build, coming in at 542 grams. I mean, again, you feel like you have a quality product in your hand for sure. And that build quality goes even further on this board as far as these PBT keycaps, other than these plastic shine-through decorative ones, which you have the swappable ones, but there's also dampening foam within this keyboard, even though it's low profile. And all that combination plays into the sound test, which I want to give you here real quick. So let me get my Wicked cushion out to prevent any of that vibration. So in regards to that sound test, I personally think it sounds pretty darn good. You can see the stabilizer's got some generous lube in it right there. These switches, I think coming in at 40 grams, they're really nice. Now these are the regular Jades, not the Jade Pros, but you see even though they're low profile, they got, again, that thick stem on the side to prevent any of that wobble. Really nice touch. The one area where it could use some work is down in this space bar. Everything else has this really nice solid sound. Coming down to the space bar, it feels and sounds a little bit more lighter, a little more clanky. So there's no foam underneath the space bar, but coming into the board itself, you can see there is silicone right there. So I'm not sure why we're getting that. Can we pop that out? Oh, that is in there good. So I really can't get that out. But again, we're getting some clacking noise down over here on these stabs. I'm not sure how we can reduce that because again, there's already plenty of lube on that. If you got any tips for me to again reduce that sound of that spacebar sounding a little bit loud, please let me know in the comments. And as I mentioned, yes, this keyboard is hot swap. Now you're not going to pop these switches out like traditional, like the front top to bottom here. They're actually side to side. Just pull it out, bam, and here is our switch. Now the interesting thing is these are different from other magnetic switches. You see, you don't have that magnet coming out from the front or the bottom there. As I press it down, that's just for the LED with these being south facing here, and you have that 3-pin. So again, these switches, number one being low profile, but number two, as far as this PCB, how it's reading there, again, it's going to be different than some of the other magnetic switches we've seen out there. So I think you're only going to really be able to swap these with the ones that Nuphy has, being these Jade regulars or the Jade Pros. But I honestly see no need to want to hot swap it. These switches feel so good. Of course, the benefit of hot swap is being able to try different switches, but these are pretty darn perfect. Now let's go and plug up the keyboard, and then I want to pull you to the computer and show you the software and some other features it's packing. But again, as I showed you, that USB port is over here on the left side of the keyboard. So a stinker about that is, now say if you're using a custom cable here, which you all know I'm not a big fan of corny coiled cables, but I have been liking this one, okay? I've been liking this. And if I want to take this and plug it in, it's just at such an awkward angle, and it's jacking up everything on my desk here, so I couldn't use that with it coming out the side. Again, you do have that angled cable coming with it, but I just caught myself using a simple one, just bam, right to the side and running it off to the side over there. Perfectly fine. So again, if you got a coiled cable that's going at an angle, it's just going to be a pain. You probably need one that's going straight, but whatever. Plugging it up here, you can see lighting up. The LEDs, even with, again, all of my lights on, very nice and bright, but it's not obnoxious, right? Like, you do got a little radiation coming off the bottom, but it's not like crazy bright, right? It's nice, subtle RGB back there, of course, minus the clear keycaps, which will be coming off for me. And then you got these little bars on each corner that light up. So say if you go caps, you can see it changes color there. Hopefully you can see that in my lights. So off and then on. Again, I'm not sure if my lights are drowning it out. And you can control stuff on this keyboard as well, but again, with it being 60% layout, I just can't remember anything. Now I want to show you the software for this keyboard, and it's actually web-based, the Nuphy IO here. And real quick, I could be missing this somewhere again, but it's hard to find. Like, I had to come here into the product page and actually scroll through to find it. Like, even I go to the bottom, I'm not seeing anywhere. It's got user manuals and firmware and stuff. Up top, I'm not seeing it. So again, I had to come to the product page, scroll down, and actually find it. Now you can just save this page so it's always there for you, but as you can see, it's down here in the middle of the page. Maybe I'm missing it somewhere on their web page, but anyways, that's a bit of a pain. So just save this page if you get it here, create a bookmark or whatever. And over here, you can see M1, 2, and 3 on the back of the board. As I showed you, game mode, which is going to disable your Windows key. Obviously, Mac is going to give you the command and stuff. But let's go on, dive into my gaming mode here. And you're going to see a lot of standard stuff, adjusting your switches or your keys, what you want. And then as far as your layers, again, you got your media in RGB, and then you got layer 2 and 3. So we're all pretty familiar with this kind of stuff here, right? Coming over here to trigger settings. This is going to be your adjustable Hall effect switch, which over here, it goes to 0.1 all the way up to 3.3. And you can create your dead zone as well if you want it further up to 0.5 and initial dead zone as well. But let me tell you what, one big thing I noticed, so when I use Hall effect keyboards, I usually keep mine around 1. I'm a cherry silver fan, right? So it's 1.2 or 1.3 if I'm not mistaken. So I really like my switches at just a solid 1, but with this being low profile, already being a shorter press and low board, I've caught myself having to come down to like 0.5 on this, because again, it's already so low and fast. So to notice it and feel that difference, you got to drop it a little bit lower. At least that was in my scenario. And then if you press a switch, you can kind of get that visual here, seeing you press it down, bam, right there. So pretty darn cool to, again, see what you're actually adjusting. And then you got your rapid trigger, as you see it going over there, which you can adjust over here if you want, your release and your press. Then you got separate press and release as far as your rapid trigger over here. And then you got continuous rapid trigger as well that you can enable, disable. And then you got your actuation point steps. If you want it 0.1 or 0.2, whatever you want to adjust that. Coming over here, you got your lighting effects as far as some presets here, and then the colors that you want, or you can just turn it off if you want. And you can also adjust your side light as well, and it still adjusts to your cap locks and whatever you change it, so you can see that. Then you got your mode settings, your Windows lock, all that stuff. You got your tick rate. Not too sure what this is over here. Anti-wobble level, anti-wobbleness level, and then your polling rate, which just goes up to 8,000 polling. I keep all of my stuff at 4,000 because I think it's perfectly fine. 8,000, a lot of people are going to experience jitters. You don't just want to crank it to the highest just because that's what's there. Make sure your system's running good with it. So as you can see, the software, you can adjust just about everything on this keyboard. So as I mentioned, this keyboard has everything we want other than a bigger profile for myself at least, right? But it goes even further as far as talking about the price of this board. It's 120 bucks. What we've looked at here is 120 bucks. Now that can go higher if you add the Jade Pros. It goes up to 140 bucks to go with the Jade Pros. But again, I really think the regular Jades, even though the Jade Pros are that palm material, so maybe they're a little bit smoother over time. I don't know. I'm not a Switch enthusiast by any means. But the feel, I'm talking about the feel for a gamer. These have a perfect feel. Even though they're 30 grams, they are a little bit heavier. So I recommend the standard Jades. Coming down here, if you want the other keycaps, you have, whoop, not that one, coming down here, you can get these all black, which I do have coming, by the way, which I'm pretty sure they're ABS. Just looking at the font, I doubt they're going to be PBT. I'll see. They're 15 bucks for them, and I think it's going to be nice. Just give it that sleek profile, that black on silver. So that's going to be a bonus for me. As far as fitting other keycaps on this, which I didn't talk about, popping these off, you can see they got the standard stem there pretty much, and then the keycap as well. Hopefully the camera can get that focus right there. Keycap's got standard stem, and then over here on the switch, even though they flare out. So I think finding replaceable low profile keycaps will be pretty darn easy for this. So I don't know, maybe don't get those. Go on, follow me on Twitter at the Techne1, I believe it is. And once those come in, I'll post a pic of this as well, just so you can see, and we'll see if they're ABS or not. But again, the offering of what we're looking at here, which is really all you need, 120 bucks. Like, man, this is hands down a complete win.